You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
And today, before we get started, I wanted to let you know that our friends in the UK and Canada can finally get the Dr. Cabral Detox and the Daily Support Shake sent directly to them. This is the first time we're able to do that. We're able to ship in the US right over the border to Canada as well as to the UK. All you have to do is go to drcabraldetox.com and you can find out how to do that. Very, very simple. You just obviously type in your locale at checkout and we can ship that out to you. Finally, we were able to do that. We got many, many requests and I'm very happy to now be able to do that. Hopefully, we'll be expanding soon to more and more countries. All right, let's get into our Weight Loss Wednesday edition. So Weight Loss Wednesday, I love talking about topics that are popular right now and that aren't your average. Well, you need to count calories, you need to eat less, you need to exercise more. You've heard it all before. Hardly any of that works because what it doesn't talk about is how you decrease inflammation for true lasting weight loss and decreasing the bloating, and how you have to boost your metabolism. It's all about metabolism. That's what it's all about. Let's talk about today how there's some misinformation right now about juicing. And by juicing, I talk about you're juicing vegetables, you're juicing even herbs, and you're juicing fruit, and how that can be helpful for weight loss, and sometimes it can actually be harmful. One thing I want to mention is this. There's a lot of marketing companies posing as juicing companies that are really just in it because it's a hot topic, and that's going to always happen when something becomes popular, right? Marketing companies jump in, people are just looking to make money, don't really care about your health, or it's maybe that they don't not care about your health, but they just don't understand, right? They're a marketing company and they're not a health-based company. Here's the thing. When you juice, you want to be juicing mainly vegetables. And here's why. When you juice fruit, you are now eliminating the fiber. When you eliminate the fiber and you just go straight fructose or fruit juice, basically fruit sugar, and it's not just fructose. I'm not saying that at all. There's other sugar in fruit as well. What's happening is this. The amount of fruit that you need to juice is a very large quantity to get a cup or 2 cups of juice, which most people like to drink. That means that oftentimes these special juices, I don't want to name names. What I want you to do is I want to teach you today. I want to teach you how to know for yourself. When you look at the label on the back of a juice, if they're pre-made, part of one of these juice cleanses or kits, you'll see that oftentimes the sugar is somewhere like 40, 50 grams. And that's way too much sugar, just way too much at one serving if you don't include the natural fiber with that. So here's what I mean. A lot of times you look in the back of these things and it says 18 grams, 20 grams, 25 grams of sugar. And you're like, okay, well, that's not that bad. I'm having it after workout, or I'm just doing that today for part of my juice cleanse. But what you don't realize is there's 2 servings per container. That means you're getting double the amount of sugar in each one of those bottles. And that excess sugar will lead to blood sugar spikes, which will lead to increased insulin, which will lead to fat storage on a high juice or high fruit juice-based diet. So here's what you have to do. And it gets complicated, but let's make things easy. So the majority of your juices should simply be vegetables, meaning like use celery as a base, use cucumber as a base. Let that be your base. And if you need a little bit of sweetness, my suggestion is getting that sweetness from carrot, getting that sweetness from beet, and not from all of your other things that you could juice, like pineapple and those specific types of things. Use the fruit. Here, this is the easiest way to remember it. eat your fruit and you can juice your veggies, all right? That's the best way to look at it. That's my best advice. And that's why it just makes it simple, right? There's always contraindications and caveats and all the things we can talk about. But let that be your general rule. And then if you just finished a workout, well, kind of all bets are off. You could certainly have some particular fresh pressed juice if you wanted to. Again, my recommendation is always have the fruit with the fiber. That's how it was meant to be eaten. And you can juice your veggies. Why would juicing your veggies be okay? Well, it's because a lot of these veggies have these very tough and dense cellulose or fiber-based structures that make it more difficult for your body to break down. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't eat them, but what it does mean is that if you have a weakened digestive system, and I work with so many people with bloating, gas, heartburn, indigestion, all sorts of different digestive-based issues, that sometimes it's easier to cook the vegetables or to juice them. And the other thing I can say is this: if you're looking to do a juice-based cleanse, like you've heard about it, you want to try it out, well, certainly you could do that for a day or two, no problem. But look towards vegetable-based juices, and if you can juice your own, then even better. So again, use the water-based vegetables as your base, the cucumber, the celery, and again, sky's the limit. You could throw in spinach, you could juice kale, you could juice the other ones that the leafy ones, of course, aren't going to have as much water, right? And then you could juice a little bit of the sweetener if you want. And I also like adding a little bit of ginger if you can tolerate it, because ginger, of course, is going to help with digestion. It's going to settle your stomach, and it's a great anti-inflammatory. Also good for the kidneys. Not a lot of people know about that, but it helps cleanse those kidneys. So my recommendation, I'm just going to go back to it. Eat your fruit, blend it with your smoothies if you want. Juice your vegetables if you choose to, especially if you're trying to get more nutrients unlocked from that cellulose structure. That's my recommendation for you. Read those labels. Don't be fooled. You have the knowledge now. Keep your sugar low. And if the sugar is coming from anything, make sure it's coming from your vegetables, not from your fruits and your juices. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into another Cabral Concept, and I hope those tips helped you today. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stephencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.